Greetings, fellow post-apocalyptic Arctic survivors. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Frostpunk 2. Episode 10. Time to bundle up. New London is doing just fine, except for the deficit of materials. But it has a lot of stockpiled materials, so I'm not too concerned about that. And it also has a lot of stockpiled oil, so again, not concerned about that. The lack of a law regulating outsiders is decreasing population growth. So instead of offering Frostlanders the ability to propose the next law, let's pass a law about outsiders next. Because New London is exploding in terms of population, and it's going to cause a lot of crime, and I'm having a hard time like putting them to work in a meaningful way. So we'll pass a law about that soon. So outsiders. We could allow all, but that's liked by pilgrims, admit no one, or allow productive ones. So I'm going to allow productive ones. That's a stalwart idea. And I'm going to negotiate with the Frostlanders because I'm trying to curry favor with the Frostlanders. And I am... I don't actually like any of their negotiations, so never mind. I'm going to negotiate with the New Londoners instead. And I'm going to agree to build a calibrated goods factory to research it. I think that's the widest margin ever. 79 out of 100. So our income just went up by 1.4 per week. Not bad.
New law takes hold.
And we have a lot of Frostland teams not doing anything. So, Tesla towers. We can set this up as a outpost to supply New London with prefabs. Or come back later, and that's what I'm going to do. There's not a lot of prefabs here. But it's enough to warrant, you know, a little bit of an outpost. Problem is the path for this outpost is expensive because of the rugged terrain. But whatever. Alright, and then the remaining 20 people, let's have survey the Cursed Valley. That sounds fun. These pilgrims are like super hostile, but because of my curried favor with the Frostlanders, I've been able to keep them hostile but like unable to act upon anything. And I'm even going to put my thumb on the scale and promote the stalwart faction over the pilgrim faction, putting more stalwarts into council positions. It will eventually piss off the New Londoners, so I'm going to grant agendas to New Londoners so I don't lose their support as well. So I'm essentially no longer playing the middle because these pilgrims are never going to come back to my side, but I'm doing all that I can to de-radicalize them while I build up the faction relation I have with my devoted followers, the New Londoners and the Stalwarts. Oh boy, 2,500 just moved here. Is there anything meaningful I can do with you guys? Not really. I guess I have to house you, so let's set up another housing district. Okay, I need to do some frost breaking. We also have the dense housing blocks, but I don't want to put up the dense housing blocks just yet, because I think there's some good synergies that I could benefit from. as soon as I'm done with the... Well, the freight dock is being researched right now, which increases the amount that I can export oil to New London. So it's almost done. Voting on machine attendants. Shoot. I don't want this to pass. But all New Londoners and stalwarts want it, so okay. It passes. I'm not gonna force them to vote against their own interests. So that is a bit of a radical thing for them to do, but because they all wanted it, you know, that's fine. So the stalwarts, all adaptation laws and buildings will increase tension as long as progress is high, and stalwarts' fervor is increased. So the stalwarts are
People of the city,
I'm going to intentionally de-radicalize them with my favor with New Londoners. Because just because they support me, I don't need them stirring up problems. It's good for fervor to be as low as possible, because I don't need stalwarts going around, you know, like, bullying the pilgrims. That would cause just as many problems for me as the inverse. So Freight Docks is now done. And if I go to Old Dreadnought, as you can see, I can now export... Oh, actually, hold on. I don't have it built, but I will be able to export more stuff soon. So let's go logistics, go to the automated freight dock, and install one so that my export quantity... I'll install two. My export quantity goes up. And I'm still working on solving the housing crisis. So I need one more housing district. I could put one here. Oh, there's a stable crevasse over here that I... but there's not going to be adjacency bonuses using that right now, so I'm going to put the other housing district here. That's a pretty good spot. Also seems to be in Stalwart headquarters. So for this new housing district, I'm going to plan for it to have a hub embedded in it, in this spot here. So I'm leaving an open spot in the middle for a hub. And it did get warmer, you're right. Goggles are off. I need to manufacture a few more goods to meet demand because of all the people coming in. So let's set up another industrial area. Okay. There is a group of strangers that arrived at Old Dreadnought. They call themselves the Wanderers, and they seem to be a nomadic tribe, and they are demanding oil. I am just going to deny them oil. I'm not going to get bullied by anyone going, hey, you're mining up the oil, but I demand it. So what we need to do is... I'm going to put our surveillance tower in here to be able to drive them off the next time they come back. And let's also research the calibrated goods workshop as soon as I have the credits for it to satisfy the promise to the New Londoners before I run out of time. So here is the Nomad's encampment, and I can send them oil or send guards from New London, but instead I'm going to build guards in Old Dreadnought so they can protect themselves. Can't boss me around. All right. The Pilgrims are talking about a protest, and they want me to potentially repeal machine attendants. And honestly, it's a radical thing. But truth be told, I'm going to ignore them because I don't give in to the demands of people becoming radicalized. And in fact, no, I don't need to increase their fervor. Actually, you know what? I am going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to condemn them, which radicalizes them. But then I'm going to grant an agenda to the Frostlanders and potentially make a promise to them so that I can, yeah, research weather adjusted shifts. Sure, I'll do that. So that, they can talk the Pilgrims down. Basically, I'm trying to reduce the amount of Pilgrims that there are. All right. The Nomads return. I now have guards for it, but I can just in advance, I can send guards from New London ahead of time. And maybe that's what I do. Rather than wait for them to show up. I'll send them away. Tell them to get lost. Okay, here we go. Now I can start exporting truly with the freight docks built. So let's start shoveling oil. Because I have 3,000 people living here in Dreadnought that like get free rides. They're not doing anything. Because I haven't had the capacity to actually send oil over to New London in a while. And New London's actually just about full up on oil. So I'm going to need to add even more fuel hubs over here. Adding 2 more fuel hubs. This whiteout's going to get its blizzard conditions butt kicked. This is another vote for heat recycling. It's fine. It's not going to pass.
Hear ye, the noes have it.
We have the teams done with more surveying. This place is dead. We should move on. So it's the ruins of Winterhome and Frostlanders that want to be taken in. And no, I'm not going to be adding Frostlanders to our number. All right, cores, good. At this point, like, I want to send survey teams out to where there's potentially cores. As cores offer very powerful bonuses. Stalwarts rally, I'll go for heat stamps. All right, I can store 350,000 oil. Old Dreadnought is producing just about as much oil as they're able, unless I add more pump jacks. Well, before I add more pump jacks, I want to add more vent towers so that the squalor doesn't get unmanageable. And the nomads surrender to us, because we're guarded, and they retreat. Get wrecked! Isn't it a bit dumb to insist on passing the same law? It's just something they really want. Do these survey teams need to be inside for the whiteout? Yes, they do. Well, you don't need to force them inside. They will just return on their own. Like, essentially everything that's done out there, except for expeditions, halts. So any station that they're manning will just deactivate and they will return back to base. So it's not something you actually have to do yourself. Looking good. Might not be a terrible idea to just stockpile some fuel here in Old Dreadnought as reserve fuel for when things get cold. Also, just because I have like the I have the excess people to set up housing, I'm just going to set up some housing. And squalor is diminishing from the vent that I set up here, but I might want to set up yet another vent tower. Just because all of these pump jacks got to be nauseating, so keeping the squalor in check here is important. Oh god, more people. Every time anything is under control, the game's like, ha ha! More people to deal with. So we have 6K excess now.
Stuart.
Separated families. So I can relax the law to allow relatives of productive outsiders in, or keep it strict, and I'm going to relax it. I'm not going to separate families. Makes it harder on me, because more people immigrate, but, you know, that's fine. So, we have a bit of a housing crisis, and one of the things I can do now is use these dense housing blocks. So I'm going to set up some dense housing blocks up in the up in this region to house the excess. So this is turning from like winter chalets to like slum town very quickly. One of the other things I could do is I could set up another research center for some of the excess people that live here now, which I'll probably get around to at some point. But I am not meeting their food or materials or goods needs, so I need to ramp that up too. Collateral damage, machine attendants. So Stuart, a worker died in a gruesome accident involving a shredder press. So I'm going to reduce the effectiveness of machine attendants, which is going to slightly upset stalwarts and New Londoners, but it will negate a lot of the penalties from running them, which I think is a reasonable middle ground to happen upon. All right, let's get ready to continue growing more food. I can always rely upon the mushroom experiments that the hot springs ran for boosted health or boosted food, but I'd rather be able to grow it in-house and be able to turn on the mushroom farms when food gets real scarce instead. The calibrated goods factories will help to supply the extra goods that we need with the ever-growing population. And trust with New Londoners has gone back up. Weather-adjusted shifts will be researched as soon as I have a few more heat stamps. There we go. Which is an outstanding promise to the Frostlanders, so that my Frostlanders can help me de-escalate the Pilgrims. And then out here on the map tile, what I'm going to start to do, given that the whiteout is pending, is, and you can actually see the storm. The storm is over here. It's this like shiny stuff. So this Imperial freighter, I can no longer send a team out here because the storm actually moves across the area. So I'm going to send workers out to collect the oil now. And, oops, some died trying to collect it. To prepare for this impending whiteout. I think the survey teams should wrap up their surveys before the storm hits the regions, which is good. And what I'm going to do with this team is increase exploration speed with the Storm Watch to speed up the last team that's still out there. So there's cores here, but I'm not going to be able to grab the cores right now. Or you can restart the machine for an outpost for materials, but I don't really need that. And then this area is too barren to make use of. You can hear the intense music ramping up as that storm looms closer and closer. Fortunately, it gets a little bit warmer before it gets cold.
Do not be alarmed by any unusual noises coming from the generator. Routine maintenance work is underway.
Actually, that's not a good place for it. I want to border both these. This is the hard test for the player? Yes. This is essentially the test of, did you stockpile enough fuel for the whiteout? And like food and all that. You know, it's not just fuel. Speaking of food, let's reactivate the mushroom collection. Oh, I don't have enough teams for that. So activate this herd to be hunted. I'm trying to get stockpile a little bit of food ahead of this as well. It's also why I'm ramping up my material extraction, so that I've got plenty of materials to keep everything running. So probably need to frost break another material spot too. I'll do that ahead of time. So I'm doing my best to try to put the, like, bajillions of people that immigrated to work so that they're somewhat productive. Storm's looming ever closer. We did finish the survey of this area before the storm hit him. There are some things that I might be able to collect. Like, I'm going to collect the cores here before the storm overtakes that zone. Collect the prefabs before that. And then hunt a little too, to stockpile more food. Trying to do as much prep as possible. It's not quite as cold. I'll keep the scarf on, but the whiteout is coming. The pilgrims are shunned by other residents of the city, which is actually a good thing. It will cause some of the them to defect. And I finished the research for the Frostlanders and just granted them agenda, so I can use them to de-radicalize the pilgrims. So pilgrims are now only 10% of the population, not 11%, and they're no longer fervor. And this is another heat recycling attempt. This is like, what, attempt number 5, 6? The Frostlanders are not... They're not a bright bunch. Rejected. We keep turning them down, and they're like, but what about... It's like, the future is now, old man. Frostlanders demand vote on weather-adjusted shifts. I have 15 weeks to grant Frostlanders this agenda. Okay, that's fine. I grant agendas on a 10-week cooldown, so I'm going to have to time that well. But I can agree to that. Where's the new... Oh, here's the new plant. Okay, so my goods are almost broken even. And now I'm just trying to break even with materials. Some of the teams which were deployed are returning home. I'm actually, not that it's necessary, but all but the research team here, I'm going to bring home. So the research team plus the transport convoy, which is like only temporarily out there, will be out there. And everybody else I'm bringing home intentionally so that we're ready to hunker down for the cold. Except, no, I'm going to take that back. I am going to temporarily turn on the mushroom cave just so that I can have super boosted food and send all the other out teams to do a little bit of hunting. I want to stockpile like an enormous amount of food in preparation for the storm. Or as much as I'm able to obtain. I can even send them to grab this food stockpile here of diseased food, because we have hospitals, so I'm not that worried that the food will make us sick. So we have 29,000 food out of 100,000, and I'm just like doing all that I can to kick that up to like a lot before things get frigid. And you can see that, yeah, we're filling our stockpiles quite quick. We're filling also our stockpiles of oil quite quick. We have 350,000 stockpiled. And I'm making a surplus of materials, completely sourcing everything inside our base.
Appreciate all your adoring letters and will answer personally in due time.
The other thing I was going to consider with the materials stockpiled is heating hubs. So I'm going to stick a heating hub here because it affects 3 housing units. So that's a pretty good bang for my buck. A heating hub here. Oh, it only hits 2 of 3. Bummer. Didn't plan that right. Can I get better? It needs to, okay, this does 3 buildings. So I'll put a heating hub there too. So that will increase my materials demand. But it should keep my fuel needs down. And I can always turn off the heating hubs if I don't want them on. Okay, food is way over because we grabbed the, like, polluted food. So now we're going to bring our teams back. And I am going to shut down. As you can see, the storm is just about to overtake this research station. So I'm going to shut everything down. All of the logistics districts in New London are going to get turned off until the storm passes. I don't need anyone going out. Now, there is a caveat there, which with them off, I can't export. I can only export a certain amount of fuel because the freight docks are off. But it's almost enough fuel that it doesn't really matter. I'm still exporting, you know, a massive surplus. How's Dreadnought? Dreadnought should be fine. One of the advantages of the satellites, the satellite colonies, is once you balance their, like, inputs and outputs, they stay very stable because people don't immigrate there. It's only your primary city where it has active immigration, so it causes some issues. So we're not growing all the food that we consume, but we have a stockpile which will last us 350 weeks. I could build more food, but I don't need to, I don't think. I don't think that's necessary. And then we do have this district here, which is a food district that is running out of food, but not in the near future, so I'm not too worried about that. Alright, I need to grant agenda as soon as this is off cooldown. Which is a demand they made. And the whiteout is just a little ways away. By your leave. Stuart, the Pilgrims have decided to send their strongest travelers out before the whiteout and search the surrounding area for supplies. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give them food for that. Rather than just let them leave or stop them, I'll actually supply them. I've got food to spare. So more Pilgrims have left New London. Works for me. And here, as you can see, the benefits of the heating hubs. So, like, these two housing districts don't, like, require anything. No heating. And we're about to get another heating hub over here. So if you see 80, 60, and that should be going down to 40 and 20. Yep, 40 and 20. Thank you, heating hubs. Grant agenda. You're welcome. Look at that! They're devoted. They are of opposing ideology, and they're now devoted because I didn't ever really let them down. Weather adjusted shifts. Hey, it's different. It's not the heating one that they keep proposing. It's something different. It's not going to pass because they're in the minority, but at least they're changing it up a bit. I would also like to continue building my favor with the New Londoners. But there's no agendas that they want to pass, so I can make a promise. Let's see. Starts request to research extraction strongholds. Yeah, let's do that. I like extraction stronghold research. So that bad boy is in Frostlands down here. And it increases the production efficiency of strongholds. So that makes them happy, makes me happy. Works for me. Because there's so many of them, funding their projects costs 627 heat stamps, which is rather steep. I wouldn't mind doing that, because trust and favor is a very powerful tool as the leader, but that's a little bit too expensive for me at the moment. So now we can just accelerate time, waiting for the big bad storm to hit us. Oh, we have a little bit of disease. So, hospital. Done. I think, is that our first hospital? Yeah. What's causing the disease? Mostly the dense housing blocks. If I could phase out the dense housing blocks in lieu of regular housing, that would be ideal. So we have a heating hub here. So if I could build housing near the hub, that would be pretty good. And then there's a pretty good spot here for another heating hub. So let's try to build a housing district here that has a bunch of adjacencies that we can drop a heating hub in the middle of and heat this area efficiently. So that I don't have growing diseases as a result of, like, dense housing units.
Will answer personally in due time.
Ooh, progress is maxed. I'm no progression slouch. Oh, perfect. So this is getting near housing district, near heating hub, but not the added squalor. And then when I expand it, I can get 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can get near this other housing district bonus as well. Perfect. And then over here, we'll put a heating hub right there. Given the whiteout is heading, I am going to crank the music volume up a bit, because it's going to be hard for you to hear me, but I think it's worth it. You don't need to hear me during the whiteout. Not so much. Alright, New Londoners favor. We'll grant them agenda and let them vote on whatever they wanted to vote on, which is Extraction Strongholds, turning it on. And that's going to win by overwhelming majority because it's something that both the New Londoners and the Stalwarts want.
The delegates have spoken.
And that will make them even happier.
Effect.
Steward.
Is this another housing district? Oh, that's a food district. Yeah, actually, let's frost clear this so that new housing project can also be adjacent to the food too, for even lower fuel requirements. So the whiteout just started. Oh boy. Oh boy. All the rallies are over because nobody can be out rallying during whiteouts. It is negative 100 Celsius. Goosebumps. goosebumps. Thank you for tuning in to Frostpunk 2, which originally streamed live on Twitch September 21st. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below, but please keep in mind that I'm trying to avoid spoilers. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow survivors.